Yes, I know that. I know that. We will do wars today. We will do wars today. Today's agenda is basically first we'll understand very simple point. Are smaller states better? I want your understanding with regards to that. Then I will also discuss with you, should Delhi get statehood? And then we'll discuss regional inequality. Once we're done with regional inequalities, very small topics. We'll talk about land reforms and then we'll go into wars, along with in between political trends. Political trends, again, generally. As I said, because I have to technically give you a basic overview here, which is that you will be discussing in governance, in polity, in economics, in internal security, in disaster management, different aspects. It's just that bringing the whole story together and giving a holistic picture. So, for anybody who was not with me on Saturday, what we discussed on Saturday basically was the concept of linguistic politics in India. And as I said, if you missed it, no issues at all. Your PI or post independence 3 classes, one you've missed, you can any day do it with me. As it is, the annotated PPT should make sense for anybody who wants to understand. But if not, no issues at all. Today is a standalone topic, standalone concept, last class of post independence. And therefore, your journey with me is also going to be over with regards to the modern India PI. Modern India is complete. Before I go into post independence and finish post independence, we discuss questions. Modern India is clear, right? Does anybody has any issue in modern India? Modern India, that whole section we discussed properly with a lot of detail, with understanding, and we did previous questions, everything. Is there anybody who has an issue with modern India? If you don't have an issue with modern India, just tell me right now. If that is clear, that is the main story. These 3 classes can be repeated with me anytime soon. You just have to understand basically the concept of national movement, and over and above that, you have to understand the basic contours of how our nationalism goes forward. And there should not be anything which is generally bothering you. Small issues, for example, if there are, you can do it multiple times with me, so no issues. Okay. If you've missed classes, very simply, this will get repeated 5 times more. So you just note the class and join me there. You join me there. Pritam, join me for the first class. That will not be a problem. Just have to join me there. As it is, the more we go forward in the story with ancient, medieval, art and culture, world history, you will start to realize that modern India will get more and more integrated. More and more integrated. I will be teaching that. I will be teaching that. No issues at all. Okay. Now, on Saturday, what we did was the concept of the issue related to official language. That why is that we have 2 official languages, and the concept of why in 1950 it was said that Hindi will only be the official language. Thereafter, we have 2 today, English and Hindi, separate story altogether. And then we discussed the concept of linguistic reorganization and the 3 phases of reorganization. If you remember, we discussed the concept of language-based reorganization. Then we discussed the concept of the way it went to tribal reorganization. Then it went into the major concept of regional inequality. And now we're in the 4th phase, 3 major phases. 4th phase with regards to internal security-based, national security-based understanding with Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, and the concept of Daman and Diu, Dadra Nagar Haveli coming as the latest addition. But there was a very simple issue which I need to deal with you, which is that, and this is something which is independent of what we did on Saturday. There's a very standard story, which is that we have, for example, Kerala as a state, which is a very good example of a state which is both good in its GDP, state GDP, and very good in its Human Development Index, which is education, healthcare. Now, yes, Subarna, dekha. The point is that are smaller states better? Or in India, should big states be made into small states? Now, this is a very standard issue which is there, and you will discuss it again in governance, you will discuss it generally. Now, when we talk about this question, there are three basic examples which are actually stated, for example. And the problem is there's no set answer to this question. Kerala is an example of good economy, good human development. However, then you have, for example, UP, very good economy, but human development, HDI indicators, health, education, and others are not that good. Then, for example, you have Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Good human development also, and good GDP also. But then you have MP, big state, doesn't work. The Jharkhand, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh sector was separated from MP and Bihar, saying that human development will be better. But these states are now struggling as economically also and human development also. So now the question is that is the solution to all our problems that we go for smaller states? And as much as you can have an opinion, what my job is to give you a diplomatic answer. Because you can't technically say that, yes, let's go for smaller states. But the problem is that then you divide the existing states into 40, 50 states. And you can't say that, no, we should never divide any state, because that is also not the point here. So how do you steer clear of this concept? Because at the end of the day, there are both merits and demerits to making a state bigger or smaller. So if you're understanding the basic question here, can we discuss the merits and demerits and leave it to your assessment of this issue? Can we discuss that? Okay. So for the first and the last time, good evening, and this is the last class. Tomorrow geography. For the students who've been doing modern polity in morning, you would have received a feedback form. You have to fill that up. Their feedback is important. And once my class is going to be over today, tomorrow, Mukesh sir, when he will come, he will also remind you about the feedback form. You will get it by 7 p.m. tomorrow, maybe, or you've already got it. I'm not sure about that. So it will be over email. You will get it. You just have to fill it up. Okay. So for polity morning, you should have already got it. This holiday is on 8th. Holi is 8th. Holi is holiday. You get it. Tomorrow you have class. Holi is holiday. Holi is on 8th, not on 7th. Not on 7th. Okay. Now, only one holiday. You want multiple holidays for Holi? Abhishek, you want multiple holidays for Holi? UPSC aspirant. Merit, demerit. Your life is about UPSC. So one holiday is still more than enough. So then once you clear this examination, then Holi is Holi. All colors make sense once you become an IS officer, right? Okay. So merit and demerits of bigger or smaller states. Let's go with smaller states. Morning batch, Basit I will take on 11th. 11th April. Morning batch, Modern India I will take. Okay. Well, all of you will become, that is the plan here. Okay. Now, what is the merit? Let's remove the bigger concept itself. You just reverse it and you will get the story for a bigger state. First, smaller state. What is the merit of a smaller state? Merit of smaller state is that you have more effective governance and administration as the boundaries are smaller. This is though a presumption. It is technically a presumption. Then the human development indicators tend to be better due to better governance. Third, what we call as effective public spending and scheme performance. And if you look at it, basically that is the only thing. This means that if there are schemes which are introduced by the government, they are better spent and their performance is also better. And fourth, the states are more culturally homogeneous, so better cultural harmony. Basically, because it's a smaller state, it creates a better cultural expression of the state itself. Now, what are the demerits? The fiscal viability of the state is in question. That you make too many small states and you don't know if they can survive fiscally or not. Do they have any budget or do they have any? And the best example for this is Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Both struggle fiscally quite a lot. Second, it is a burden on the taxpayer, because at the end of the day, if one state has one administration and that state is made into two administration, then who pays for the salary of these people? Who pays the salary of our executives? Very good. We, the citizens of India, give taxes. The public government has no money. Government gets it from us. So the government takes it from us, and if the government was spending 1 lakh crore on one state, now it has to spend 2 lakh crore because that state has become twice. 2 police, 2 mechanisms, 2 municipal corporations, 2 CMs, 2 MPs become bigger. And everybody is paid out of your and my pocket. So it is a burden on the taxpayer. So while you can get effective governance because the state is smaller, but isn't that coming at a cost? Meghna, we are just discussing these two standard issues and then we'll move to the main topic, regional inequality. We are building up to regional inequality. Now, this is the basic point. It's a burden on a taxpayer. Further, it promotes regionalism and sectarian politics. Basically, everybody wants a state. If you start to divide states into smaller states, everybody wants a new state. Now, this is not something which is good. So again, the more you divide it, the more it becomes a tendency. And fourth is very simply, Fourth is very simply, there is no guarantee of effective governance as work ethic matters. Can you give me in writing? Can you give me in writing that if I make a smaller state, it will be better in governance? Can you give it to me in writing? No, because if the work ethic is about corruption, then big or small, it is going to be the same only. So the simplest to simplest point is that the fact of the matter is very simple, that be it big or small, the answer to that question is it depends. It depends. It depends on what is the concept, and basically how it is going to be implemented. Now, why am I doing this question with you? Because I want to show you a question. And let's see how if we can answer that question now. Look at the second question. Discuss whether the formation of new states in recent times is beneficial or not for the economy of India. Now, this basically is the type of question which comes in the examination. Now, you tell me one thing. Can you take either side? That it is not beneficial and it is beneficial? No. So basically, you have to show now to them two aspects. So for this type of question, you will say that when it comes to state reorganization, a lot of factors are at play. However, the formation of the new states have both been beneficial and non-beneficial for the Indian economy as a whole. As a whole, don't give examples. Never ever give examples in these type of questions. You don't know who is coming from where, and you don't know where the examiner is from. If you start to say that his state should not have existed, would it actually look good? You tell me. Don't give examples in these type of questions. Can't say, you don't know who's checking the paper. So in this question, you are going to very simply walk the middle line. So you will say that yes, there are multiple factors. Now, what is the first aspect? The beneficial part and the non-beneficial part. Beneficial, non-beneficial. Now tell me, how has beneficial aspect been of smaller states? Beneficial aspect has been that because of better governance meant that better use of resources. Better use of resources meant effective addition to state GDP, and therefore the state GDP of a state, was able to get boosted. You can make it either a table or you can write it in paragraph, totally your call. And more than that, the infrastructure development due to more spending, and because the state became smaller, so the rural sector got connected with the urban sector more. You can write whatever you want to write. It's just about writing the aspect that rural urban got connected, smaller states are better, or the reorganization has been in that context. On the other, non-beneficial, it is a burden on exchequer, on public or taxpayer. Further, no guarantee has been seen with regards to better performance. It also leads to the bifurcation of resources. Basically, there are both SGDP means state GDP. There is also the question of viability. If you look at it, there is enough material to write for both. It was also leading to more demands and regionalism. So this type of question has no set answer. And you can just conclude by saying, here the conclusion matters. You will just conclude by saying that overall, the new states in recent times has produced both beneficial and non-beneficial factors for India as an economy as a whole. Keep it in the middle, leave it. Don't have to become a judge, jury, executioner here. Just leave the answer at the midpoint. Leave it so that you don't have to provide data, you don't have to provide your opinion, don't have to get caught up. Because if the paper is getting checked, it is not getting checked by officers. It's not officers, it's teachers. It's a paper setter, mostly professors. If they are coming from a state and you start to write that this state is bad, this state is not good, it should have done this, it should have done that, it should not have ever created. Never do that. UPSC, it's all about being on the middle line, about the middle line. Now, the first question also, which is the latest question which came in 2021, everybody's done the first class for sure. Can you tell me, can you answer the first question? Assess the main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in the integration of princely states. So administrative issues, basically, this is the test question which I gave you. Administrative issue is that they are going to, there was issues of not getting integrated. There was military issues. They were related to Patel's strategies. They were resisting diversity. And then socio-cultural problem is going to become, they had no understanding of democracy. They had never been under the rule of the INC. More than that, cultural homogeneity got disrupted. So this type of question, social evils, whatever you want, that British India had certain type of rules and regulations when they got integrated, British India did not have it. So you can see that the questions are, and this is the whole purpose of discussing this issue with you, that the questions, this is why I'm doing the questions first and then I will do the topics. Are you able to understand what type of questions come from post-independence? Because there is a lot of data, there's a lot of stuff available in the market, but a lot of students get caught up in that data. The question is very extemporish. The more you will read for UPSC, the better answer you will also write. You have historical understanding. Once you do polity, you will be better equipped to do this question. When you do economics, you'll be even better to do it. When you have internal security understanding, you will even be better to do it. So as you move forward, when I'll do the last batch with you, I'll ask you the same question and your answers will totally change. Your answers will totally change because your understanding would have grown multifold by understanding history, geography, polity, economy, internal security, disaster management. It exponentially starts to increase. I have created a base here. You are in a position to write both of these answers, yes or no? Yes, you are. Now it is about how it technically pans out in the longer perspective, because there is no set answer for this. It's about how you are able to use the given information which you have. Now that we understand the merit and demerit, there's one more issue I need to discuss with you, and then I move into regional inequality. Can I discuss that with you with regards to Delhi? Delhi? Okay. Now, as you know, Delhi is a very special type of UT. It's a UT which has a legislature, and there's a lot of tussle which is going on in Delhi today. It's a UT which has a CM also, and he has his MLAs. But the peculiarity of Delhi is that because it is a UT, the lieutenant governor has a lot of power. And when it comes to the legislative division between the CM and the governor, while there is mostly in any UT where there is both a governor, a lieutenant governor, and legislature with regards to CM, it's mostly that the lieutenant governor works on what we call as the union list and the legislature works with the state list. But with regards to Delhi, there's an exception. Out of the state list, police, law and order, and land, three things which fall under state list are technically not given to the CM. They fall under the Lieutenant Governor, and therefore there has been a very long standing tussle between and right now between the CM of Delhi and the Lieutenant Governor. And the demand has been that Delhi should be given full statehood. This special status doesn't work. The equivalent to this is going to be like reserved and transfer subject. It's like hierarchy in a way. But the basic point of the matter is that police, law and order and land is not with the CM or the MLAs. Now that raises a question that does Delhi as a state make sense? Does Delhi as a state make sense? First, I'll take your opinion. If you believe that yes, A, B, if you believe yes. Now the answer to this current question, unfortunately, is as the yeas have it, that the answer to this question is no. Delhi having a state status is going to make it a bigger issue. Delhi is a UT, but should it be made into a state? That is the question. And there are certain issues which straightforward makes this option incorrect. Delhi should not be given statehood for the following reasons. First is why UT have CM? That is, Safruddin, the basic concept. Delhi and now Jammu and Kashmir are two UTs with legislation. It's an exception. First, it is the capital and administrative capital of India, which means that all executives, yes, Puducherry also, but I'm discussing the dynamics that way. All executives, be it the Prime Minister, be it the President, be it the MPs, be it the Cabinet, and the legislature with regards to the Parliament, all are situated in Delhi. Now, for example, today, if the Ministry of Home Affairs wanted to expand its office because it has much bigger load, if Delhi is a state, who has the power to allocate land? Who has the power to allocate land? The CM. So if there is no same party, for example, exact same situation today, if there is Kejriwal and if there is a tussle between the central government, will he allocate that land? No. But in the end, who suffers? Who suffers because of this politics? The country. So the people of India suffer because of political issues. So the politics around land and law and order is a problem in itself, that he will not give it only. But what is more dangerous is, in Delhi you have the army, the air force, both sit in Delhi. Now today, if the army wants a little bit of more land, they will go and plead to the CM. Makes no sense. The center should be capable of giving the army and the air force any amount of land if needed for the security of India. Now there's also an issue of national security. That if the police goes to the CM, he does not like an MP. So should we remove the security of that MP? No. So when it will come to the politics, won't it threaten our national security? That our executives are literally pleading to the CM for security. Or the CM, if he doesn't want, he won't give security. And At the end of the day, Delhi needs to be with central control, as all machinery of governance is there. From every bhavan to everything is with the Delhi government. And in a way, if the central secretariat, if the north block, south block, they are not fully provided the proper level of security, then it is a problem. So very simply, the concept of Delhi getting a state, Delhi will be fiscally viable. That's not an issue. The demand for Delhi becoming a state is a proper political issue. That is the basic point. No, Delhi's CM's power is not to just provide free electricity. It is to provide much more than that. But you can't jeopardize the national security. See, what is the difference between a UT and a state, Preetham? Basically, when you are a union territory, you are coming under central control. When you are a state, you are basically a federal structure state. You legislate on state list, and a UT can only legislate. In a UT, it is under state, so this law is under the center. So the law is made by the center for the UT itself. But Delhi is a specific case, it is a UT with legislature. So basically, you can't have the politics. You can't have the politics of CM and PM and CM and COM and these things affect our national security and our governance. So are we all in the position to write about this in the examination? That Puducherry does not have the same problem, because Pondicherry is not the capital of India. It does not have the parliament. It does not have the machinery which needs. You need to understand, if the Prime Minister's house and the President's house and everybody's house, the Rashtrapati Bhavan is in Delhi, Delhi has a major issue because Delhi does not have random, it's a administrative governance capital. If politics starts to happen over these people, if the Prime Minister's security, if the President's security, if anything gets jeopardized, it is an issue. So you need to be very clear what you want. And Delhi and it's not something which India has. Abhinav is right. All embassies are also in Delhi. So you can't have that the Chinese embassy is not getting security and the other embassy is getting security. It's a very sensitive matter. Can't leave the security to the politics of PMCM. Simple point of the matter. I'm again repeating myself. Delhi statehood demand is a political demand, capital and administrative center of India. Therefore, see, UTs having statehood is a separate issue altogether. Delhi having statehood is a separate issue altogether. Politics around land and law and order and police cannot work. And Delhi being the central part where the center sits cannot have state-based center-state politics over it. Cannot do politics over this issue. Are you getting my point? Cannot let politics happen over the Prime Minister's security, the security of the President, the security of the Parliament, the MPs, the fact that you can't let the Delhi government decide if the Air Force should get small amount of land so that it can make a new airstrip. Simple point is, in other countries also, there's a simple point. Be it Washington DC, it's a specific center controlled area in America. In US, in Australia, Canberra, again center controlled. Basically, across the world, mostly capital cities are center controlled. Okay. We can remove statehood of Delhi. Delhi does not have statehood only. Okay. It cannot be a give and take relationship. That's the basic point. Okay. Puducherry, Aman, there's no issue. In Puducherry, the state legislature has police, law and order and Land. Okay. Yes, that's a very good way. Delhi getting statehood is like CM controlling the center. Very good. It was believed that Delhi with a chief minister is better because with a very big population, Delhi government does do good work. GNCT does good work, but the problem is it cannot be fully about giving it statehood. Okay. I know Delhi has a CM because Delhi is an exception. It is a UT with, because you've not done polity, you are trying to fathom it out. It's a UT with legislature. Legislature basically for the welfare of the people. It is UT because it is a center. It has always been a UT. Under the British, it was also a UT. Okay. Can we move to regional equality? You will be able to write this point. Lieutenant Governor's role in Delhi is basically to implement all the center laws and also legislate on these three issues. Okay. Okay. Can't give a monopoly to the CM. Very good. Perfect. Now understand one thing, and one thing very, very clearly. The three modules which I'm going to do with you today, which is regional equality or the concept of what we call as wars or even the political trends, land reforms. We've not seen a question for the past 10 years. However, this is a part of your syllabus and you never know with UPSC. But the next 3 hours, just enjoy the stories. Because I want to create a certain picture in your mind before you leave today, which is that you understand India better. And if you can get that basic picture, then the task is done. So post-independence, the questions are mostly revolving in three themes: linguistic reorganization, princely states, and maximum going to the issue of official language or partition. The three themes which we've discussed already is what is coming in the examination. So are we clear with regards to what is the purpose here? What is the purpose here? Yes? Okay. Okay. Now in India, not all states are the same. Please now listen to me. Understand the issue. You will never forget it. Will help you in economics quite a lot and socio-economic issues when you will do GS paper 1. No, as of right now, Sai, they aren't. Praveen, for the welfare of the people, they can't manage so many. It's about welfare. Okay. Now, in India, not all states are similar. Not all states are culturally similar. But when it comes to economics, certain states struggle and are struggling, and certain states are flourishing. And the problem is that the way India is developing, it is not helping. So, for example, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, UP. These states, even AP you can add, Telangana to some reason. These states are generally, as per GDP data, outperforming states such as Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, MP, Rajasthan. Thereafter, generally, you can add to it Chhattisgarh, I'm discussing technically big states also: Assam, Jharkhand, So it's not that Uttarakhand comes in between somewhere. Jammu and Kashmir now a UT. Punjab is a good performing state. Punjab, Haryana. So basically, if we talk about this set of states, if we discuss this set of states, in between will come, for example, HP, Uttarakhand, neither in between. Goa, same type in between. Now, what I'm trying to say is that in India, not every state is the same. Northeast will come in between again, whole Northeast, because they're small states, can't expect them. So there are two set of states in India. MP will come here again. MP is here already. Now, this means that in India there is regional variation and there is regional inequality. But if you ask certain people what is the reason for regional inequality in India, they will say because these states don't perform well because they don't have the resources, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have this, they don't have that. And ironically, as of right now, if you look at the investment map of India, money is going to this area, not to this area, which means that this regional inequality is only going to get exaggerated more and more and more and more and become bigger. But the answer to this question, why is that regional inequality persists in India and why is there regional inequality generally? Tell me what is common to these states. What is common to these states? Go to your no, not population. Go to your modern India and tell me. Very good, Bhupendra. Very good, Abhinav. Great. Very good, very good. Aren't these states the same which were under permanent settlement? This is the geography of permanent settlement, right? The whole Bihar, Orissa, and Bengal sector. This means that their regional variation is systemic to colonialism. It's not that these states did not have the resources. These states were hit the most. And whilst we had Rayatwari settlement areas, they perform a little bit better. For example, the whole of peninsular India. The fact of the matter is that the regional inequality in the states is extremely systemic. I will tell you why is that it has already been 70-75 years and they have not come forward. That's a separate issue altogether. But first is about understanding the issue. The issue is not that they never got anything. It's the fact is that their baseline was very, very less. And for that, you need to understand one more thing, is that in India, as it is, there was land revenue, then commercialization, then drain, then this and that. When we talk about any form of industrial development, it was either in Bombay or in Madras or in Calcutta. And it is where West Bengal has actually fallen back, that Calcutta did used to be an industrial center. And today it has started to struggle because of internal politics. The simple point of the matter is that Bombay, Madras, Calcutta were the three only zones, more Bombay and Calcutta, where all things were concentrated in. The solutions have not been good, and I will discuss it with you also, because whatever the solutions which were provided. But the fact of the matter is that Bombay, Calcutta was where everything was concentrated. If you look at the data also, the economic inequality among states and regions is a challenge and still remains a challenge. And whatever what we call as industrial enclaves were there in India were either in Calcutta, Bombay, or in Madras. And in 1948, if you look at the production or the industrial production data, 59% of all assets were in Bombay and West Bengal, and 64% were in, or output of everything was also Bombay and West Bengal. But what is more telling is the per capita income. West Bengal, Punjab, Bombay, per capita income, you see 353, 331, 272 rupees. Very big amount at that point of time. And Bihar, Orissa, Rajasthan was 200, 188, 173. The issue with Rajasthan was that it was mostly under princely state, so nobody wanted to develop Rajasthan. The fact of the matter is there has always been a systemic issue in India with regards to regional equality. And the problem is that we are not in the right direction also. Because the way India is developing today, exactly perpetuating the same type of inequality. Exactly perpetuating the same type of inequality. Because if you look at the FDI, foreign direct investment, all goes to Gujarat, all goes to Karnataka, nothing to Bihar. So now do we understand the issue here? What is the issue? The issue is that India, there are 2 to 3 enclaves which have been created, and there is certain things which are going forward, certain backward, and certain are in between. For the holistic development of India, all of India needs to go forward, yes or no? Yes, all of India needs to go forward. However, India is not in a position to go forward fully because certain states are holding back or are falling behind. So now, the fact is, what have we done since 1947? What have we done since 1947 to find a solution for this? When we talk about the, Praveen, that is for economics. When we talk about the strategies, the first strategy you already know, called the finance, which is called the Finance Commission. It's called the Finance Commission. If you don't know it, the Finance Commission under Article 280 of the Constitution, the President will appoint what is called the Finance Commission. And the task of the Finance Commission is basically to decide two things. There's a general pool of taxes which the center collects. Certain taxes are collected by the state. Center collects a certain amount of taxes. Within that taxes, there's certain amount which needs to be shared with the states. This is called divisibility pool. Basically, how your mother or your, think of it like this, that for example, one of your relatives came and said to your mother, here are 500 rupees, give it to the children. Now, he has not specified how much money each will get. It should be 50-50. Now, basically, this is the divisibility pool, that there is a certain amount of money which the center holds on behalf of the state. Now, what the Finance Commission decides every 5 years is how will it get divided vertically and horizontally. What do you mean by that? Vertically means that how much will the center get out of the taxes, how much the state is going to get out of the taxes, and how much each state will get out of that. For example, there was 100 rupees. Now it is the task of the Finance Commission to decide that, okay, 50 rupees will go to the center and 50 rupees will go to the state. This is how the divisibility pool has been decided. But for us, this division is immaterial because center-state division is always there. It's about how this 50 rupees is going to get divided into each state. This is called vertical. This is called horizontal. Vertical devolution and horizontal devolution. Devolution means division. Division means division. Now, the problem in India has been vertical devolution has always been good. But horizontal, how it gets divided into states, is something which actually has never made sense. Because if a state is if the state is struggling, should it get more out of the 50 or less out of the 50? So it should get more. And if the state is well performing, it should get less. Agreed? Because it needs more assistance and one needs less assistance. But the problem is that the way these states have become so dependent on this money is that even after allocating them more money, still they are not performing well. Still, they are not performing well. Can I tell you why they are not performing well still? States have their own income and the center also holds certain amount of income for the state. Okay. And the problem is that there's a concept. When you do expenditure, you have two types of expenditure. Again, you will do it in economics. One is called revenue and the other is called capital. A revenue expenditure is one which is consumptive or what we call as recurring, non-asset producing, and this is called asset producing. So if for example, if the state makes money, takes the money and makes a hospital, it's a capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? It is a capital expenditure because a asset was created. If they take all that money and pay it in salaries of the bureaucrats, revenue or capital? Revenue. So basically, anything which does not create an asset and is consumptive, salaries, pensions, interest, loan repayment, not loan repayment, but interest payment. The fact of the matter is what these states have been doing is that basically, no, the horizontal devolution is not decided on the basis of money gathered. No, it's about on the way the state is performing. Asset means any form of building, any form of thing which is a resource for you. If it creates resources, it basically is good. Now, what these states have been doing is they have been getting more road, bridges, schools, colleges, hospitals, new bus stands, mandis, tunnels, whatever you want to say. Now, basically, what these states have been doing is they've been getting more and more money from the center with regards to the way finance commission is divided, but they are spending it in revenue. So they technically are burning more cash. They are burning more cash. They're literally burning cash. So they take the money and they burn the cash. They take the money and they burn the cash. Every time they take the money, they're burning the money. Burning in the sense that no asset is created. Now, this becomes a vicious circle. This becomes a vicious circle because you will get money, you will burn it, you will get money, you will again burn it, you will get money, you will again burn it. Now you are basically dependent on this money. And that is why the impact of the Finance Commission on regional equality has been zero. Because the Finance Commission says give more money to Bihar or to Jharkhand or to Chhattisgarh. They take the money and they pay it to the salaries of the employees because they don't have the capacity to pay the salary of the employees also. So basically, it's a way in which it's basically bad governance. Yes, it's not. It's the way they are using money is the problem. So if when it came to the first solution, which the center tried to use or India tried to use, this became a failure. This became a failure. It is not efficient. Are we clear why regional inequality still persists? Are we clear about that? That even after all of this, why does regional inequality still persist? Very good. Now, the next solution is an organization which does not exist today, was changed in 2015, which is called the Planning Commission. Now, since India's inception till 2015, there was a body called the Planning Commission. And that Planning Commission, that is why you can see there will be no questions out of this because these organizations don't exist only. Now that Planning Commission is called what? Is called what? Very good. The National Institute for Transformation of India, which is called the Niti Aayog. So remember, there is a full form of Niti, National Institute for the Transformation of India. Now, the Niti Aayog technically is much different to the Planning Commission. Because the Planning Commission used to always give what are called 5-year plans. For 5 years, there was something which was decided what is going to be the agenda. But Niti Aayog does not have the concept of 5-year plans. It's a very weird way in which Niti Aayog plans because either it's yearly or it's 3-year, 7-year. And there's a 21-year plan. So basically, a little bit of confusion with regards to how it works. They have annual plans for sure, but long-term plans are not indicated very well. But why am I discussing Planning Commission with you? Because when the Planning Commission comes into existence, it was given a very important question. That basically 2015 Pankaj ceased to exist on paper. Whatever it may be 2017, on paper it was called Niti Aayog. Now, the Planning Commission had to decide where do we put our money? So in the first 5-year plan, it was decided that to transform India, let us give money or let us put our concentrated effort into agriculture. Agriculture, 60%, 65% of the population. Let us put a lot of effort in agriculture, and you can see the allocated amount in agriculture was much higher than industry, double. But the problem was that in agriculture, there were so many systemic issues because of zamindari, because of land issues, distribution, corruption, money lenders, that we technically burnt this 5-year allocation very quickly with no real structural or systemic changes. Systemic means system-based changes. So systemic change was not there only. Now, very simply, the second 5-year plan, this question again came. What about agriculture industry? And now rises a very important economist in India. His name, P.C. Mahalanobis. P.C. Mahalanobis argues that the way India can go forward is not via agriculture, but industries. And under the Mahalanobis model, it was now the mining and industry sector which got a bigger allocation. But now the problem is that this allocation was in the right space, but the way our industries were developing were also a problem. So I hope you understand this shift from first and second. Then I'll tell you why this was also not going to work. Yes. Now this didn't work for a very simple reason. Because till 1991, there will be what is called as the license Raj in India. License Raj means that for every industry you have to set up, you need a license. And that license can only be given by the state. Only the state can give it to you, the government. Now, what the government did was, in order to remove this skewed concept, in order to remove this regional inequality, it used to give licenses quickly in Bihar, Jharkhand, or in Orissa, but very, with a lot of difficulty, for example, in Gujarat. So via the license Raj, they tried to steer the direction of industries into certain states, thinking that industries in themselves will bring up assets and better economic development. Are you able to think of it how the economist is thinking? That basically they're trying to steer it in a certain direction because they are trying to think that if I steer the industry into Jharkhand, Bihar, into Orissa, it will in turn lead to development. So I will only give a license, I will even give you tax break, I will give you subsidy, I will give you certain incentives to be in Bihar, but not that in Gujarat. But the problem is that industries don't want the development of people or don't like the growth of people. They don't believe in the concept of inclusive growth, which is that you take the people forward as you become better. What do industries want? What do industries want? Money, profit. And what happens is that these industries will in turn be placed and they will start to literally exploit the workers. They will take away, and because these states are tribal territories, they will take away tribal land. And what I'm trying to tell you right now is actually the birth of Naxalism in India. When you will discuss it in internal security, Naxalism, the red belt, what is common to the red belt or Naxalism is the fact that all those areas were where the industries had been allocated because of the license Raj. So what they did was that rather than actually going for the growth of people, they started to exploit the people. And when they got exploited, they got disillusioned. They thought that the government only wants us to get exploited. And that is why they rebelled against the government. And that is the birth of the concept of Naxalism in India. So Naxalism was a major issue which was created because of this concept of license Raj and the way we shifted our industrial or our basic focus on the industries. Now, this is why all three solutions, Planning Commission, Finance Commission, government providing incentive and subsidies to go into a certain sector, all just have perpetuated between 1956 to 1991 regional inequality with no real solution. Basically, in India, regional inequality still persists because we still have not found out a way to lead to grassroots development in those states. If we allocate more money to them, they're burning the cash. The Planning Commission did not do anything. And there's a very major difference between Planning Commission and Niti Aayog. Whilst Planning Commission and Niti Aayog look similar, there's a major difference. Can anybody tell me between the two, Niti Aayog and Planning Commission? Major difference. You don't know it, but guess it. Kavya says finance. Nitesh says finance. Anybody else? Any wild guess? Long-term, yearly target, bottom-up approach, state not involved, advisory, state participation, long-term, think tank, feudal. Yes. So you all are revolving around that issue, but the first two said it. See, the Planning Commission used to talk about schemes, but also allocate the money. So basically, at one point of time, Planning Commission was considered the parallel finance ministry. The chairman of the finance commission had more power. The chairman of the planning commission had more power sometimes than the finance minister. But under Niti Aayog, what has happened is Niti Aayog only plans. Money is allocated by actually the finance ministry. So therefore, what is believed is that the planning commission both was a monster and had teeth. But what the problem with Niti Aayog is, it is a toothless device or body. It can talk about a lot of things, but it can't allocate the money. On the other hand, Planning Commission cannot just basically only have the concept of what we call as a body which can allocate also, which can talk also. Niti Aayog talks a lot, but does not allocate. So basically, Niti Aayog is just a think tank, as we say. So it's a good way of planning, but there's a major differentiation. So if though they're not asking question out of this area, if they ask you that why does regional inequality persist in India, are you in a better position to understand or write an answer or 4 basic points? Why? Because Finance Commission has not been able to find a solution. Consumptive revenue expenditure. The Planning Commission as it is does not exist. Niti Aayog does not have the vision. Third, license Raj and license incentives were in turn led to more of internal issues with regards to people getting exploited by the industries. Are we clear with regards to this? Why is there in India regional inequality? Again, as you can see, whatever I'm teaching you right now is not basically very difficult or very conceptual. It's like opening up your eyes. I'm trying to create a picture of India today and what are the basic issues today. In the first class, I told you challenges. Second class was again challenges, but with regards to linguistics. Today, basically, we are trying to understand how is that. There's no book for this. How is that India still has a problem of regional inequality? Yes? Okay. Yes, that is true, Arshia. That is true. Why Niti Aayog budget planning does not? Because Gagan, Niti Aayog executes the budget. The budget is done by the Finance Commission. Okay. Yes, this is in a way, yes. Finance Commission not. Finance Commission allocates according to certain indicators, but it also gives the most important indicator is what is the most important, which is the state which is struggling in that way. Okay. So very simply, regional inequality in India persists because of systemic issues. It happened because of the way the British impacted India. However, since 1950, we have not been able to find an effective solution to make sure that regional inequality is gone. 4 solutions I discussed with you, but the problem is that they interlocked each other and created a mess which does not work today. Can we go to land reforms? Is this clear? You, as I said, you will see when you will discuss what we call as economics, you will develop this further. You see, all topics here are very broad topics. I'm trying to talk about post-independence and talk about post-independent India. So very simply, you have to understand what are the issues which persist. I'm trying to tell you the genesis. There is no solution to regional equality as of right now. There's no actually definite solution as of right now. Because government still does not realize or that technically have understanding how it will actually work. How it will actually work. Because the way Niti Aayog is working is also not able to do it. Okay? Okay, now this topic, and then we take a break. Land reforms. Is land an important resource in India? Again, we brainstorm together. Is land an important resource in India? Yes. So, brother, father, son, any combination of relatives are ready to kill each other for land in India? True. Yes. That basically, for land, we will even kill our own father. Sad but true. Now, when India got independence, there's a major issue. The issue is that there are three basic problems in our agriculture. First, that land is concentrated in few hands. In few hands. In few hands. And mostly the peasants are landless or work on someone else's land. Someone else's land. Few hands means that zamindars, money lenders have a lot of land. In India, acres of land. There are, for example, 100 zamindars who control 1,000 acres, and there are 1 lakh peasant who control 50 acres. So isn't this concentration of land? Isn't this concentration of land that basically the zamindars control so much land that 1 lakh peasantry together control 50 acres? This is called concentration of land in few hands. Then there's an issue that the tenant or peasant who works on someone else's land has no security or certainty. And you'd have heard this word for sure in your lifetime called Amal Guzar, Mal Guzar. If you have land in your family, you would know that if you don't produce it yourself, if you don't cultivate it yourself, there would be certain people who would work on your land and give you a share of that land, give you a share of that produce. So I am a zamindar, but I have 100 acres of land, but technically I can't be in the countryside. So I give it to 5-6 people. They produce it. That is called a tenant. That he produces the land for me. I own the land, but he produces it for me. And when it is produced, I get certain amount of return. Now, in India, what happens is that there was no security of tenure or security of rent. This month I said, this season I said 50 or 50 mine. Next year I said, out of the 100 kgs which is produced, 90 mine, 10 yours. Then the next cycle I said 80-20, 60-40, 50-50. Anything was being asked. Anything was being asked. So very simply, land reforms were not, or rather, land reforms were needed, but tenant reform was also needed because tenants had no security only. Tenants had no security only. If that was not enough, in India, there's also an issue that land, or still technically is, land is a social prestige and no one wants to give it up. That if I ask you that give some land to me, you will rather kill me than giving some land. And unlike in the West, where land is not related to social prestige, being a jamindar is a very big thing. By jamindar hai. A lot of people just get married on the aspect that they have a lot of land in their family. Could be useless themselves, but have a lot of land in their family. So, sad but true. The fact of the matter is, land is something, it's literal gold. Now, basically, the government of India recognizes these issues. Land is concentrated in certain hands. Tenants don't have certainty. They could be working on this land today. Tomorrow they could be working on different land. Land is social prestige. And land nobody is ready to give up. Nobody is ready to give up. So very simply, land is something people will never give up. So the permanent Raitwari and Mahalwari system still existed. And therefore, in 1950, India now embarks on the concept of land reform. You understand the issues, then I discuss what is the land reform. Security of tenure basically means that I could be working on this land, I could be working on that land. There's no certainty if I will work on the same land itself. Now then, what is land reform? The first thing which the government of India did, easiest, abolish all British based land system. So basically permanent Raitwari and Mahalwari abolished. That was the easiest. Neil, I am taking as 1950 because once the constitution comes through, then we believe that Republic of India is working. And as it is, India was burning on three sides. Nobody cared about land right now. Now, the next thing which they did was introduce tenancy reform. Under tenancy reform, they introduced the concept that every tenant should have security of tenure, of rent, and of future ownership. So once an agreement is there between the jamindar, it has to be rational, that I am going to take 50, you will take 50. It has to be that you and me are bound together for at least 5 years or 5 to 6 seasons. But more than that, there was a rule which was brought in that if nobody claims a land for 12 years, if nobody claims land for 12 years, and you are a tenant on that land for 12 years, then that tenant can claim ownership to that land. This is basically for the absentee landlords. basically there for the absentee landlords. So for all the zamindars in the house, if you have land which you've not claimed that for 12 years, you haven't claimed that it is my land, and a tenant has been producing that land for 12 years, he can claim in court that it is his land, and that is given. That is given. But the most radical reform which came is called the sealing laws. It's called the sealing laws. Now, how did the sealing laws work? Now, for example, this is a landscape. This is a landscape. And there was this person has 100 acres, A, 40 acres, B, 100 acres. Then there were small peasants, 1 acre each, 50 acres, 20 acres, and peasants with half acre each. Now, A, B, C, D, E. Who is the biggest landlord here? Who is the biggest landlord here? A and C? A and C. Now, what the government of India said was that any person in a specific area, in a specific district, if he has more than 30 acres, the government will seize their land under a ceiling and then give it to or redistribute it to the peasants. So now under ceiling law, for example, if the ceiling was fixed at 30 acres, he would lose 70 acres. He would lose 70 acres. He would lose 10 acres. He would again lose 70 acres. He would lose 20 acres, not 20, but 30 acres. 20 acres. 20 acres. And he will not be touched. E will not be touched. And now what is going to happen is that this 70, 70, 10, 20, this 170 acres is going to now be given to the peasants. Now be given into the peasant. This is called sealing of law, sealing of land and redistribution. Sealing of land and redistribution. Now the problem is that it's a good law. Sealing not according to fertility, nothing. It's random. It's just that how much sealing the government decides. So on paper, this law seems good. That you can take out the 170 acres and then give it to the peasants. That simply the government seizes any amount of land if it is under or over a certain ceiling. That is what's called sealing. If I Abhishek Mishra own 100 acres under my name, I cannot have it under my name. And I will tell you how people found a solution for this. I will lose 70 acres if I don't do something about it, and my land will be gone. On paper, sealing laws make sense. Do they? Don't they? They do. Now the problem was that in India we are very, 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 very jugadu. we are very, very quick to understand how things happen. And the loophole here was that firstly, half of the governments did not implement. And the places where they implemented, not in ever in Indian history, so many sons were disowned by fathers. I had 5 sons and I disown each one of them, that they are not my son now. And if they're not my son, division of property will happen. So basically, there was a flurry, one after the other. In family court came, my son is useless, I disown him. My son is useless, I disown him. They are of no purpose to me, disowned. So basically, there will be what? That 100 acres, I have 5 sons, I divide it into 5 sons. So we all have now 20 acres. We don't come under ceiling. That was the first solution. You give it to your relatives, but see, in India, we technically don't trust our relatives. So it's rather giving to sons. You give it to your relative, then he technically does not give it back, then what? So not too far relative. If you are good books, you will get something. Now the other problem is, sometimes the zamindars used to also do a lot of ingenious ideas. It's called cooperatives. This A zamindar said to 50 peasants, I will give you half acre, or not even, I'll give you small amount of money. You come and become a cooperative with me. Cooperative means that we all own this land. Now, if one person has 100 acres and a 50% have 100 acres, will it go under ceiling? No, it won't. So basically, either through cooperatives, either through pressure, either through basically some tactic or the other, a lot of people did evade ceiling. But some were not that lucky. In 2 states, Kerala and West Bengal, ceiling laws did do a lot of good. But other than that, in Indian history, land reforms were the worst implemented and with zero impact. Zero. Very simply, they had no real impact only. Land reforms in India are the worst implemented because there was no political will. Because you tell me, will an MLA who himself owns 200 acres, will he apply ceiling law on him? When an IS officer who had to implement ceiling law, he himself owns 50 acres in that area, will he implement that concept? So in India, because of administrative corruption, because of no political will, and because of ingenious way of evading this law, land reform and ceiling laws had 6% of all peasantry in India were touched. 6% of all land in India was touched. 6%. Not even double digit. 6%. And that is why till today in India, if you will ever see the economic survey, the way our graph was that till today, the marginal and small farmers in India are the biggest chunk. Marginal and small farmers. What is the situation right now? It's worse. It is bad it has not improved. In no way or the other, it has actually never improved. Simple point of the matter is, in post-independence India, we have failed our peasantry, we have failed our farmers, and we still tend to fail them. So land reforms were in a way only on paper, nothing more, nothing less. If this makes sense, I will then just read it out from the PPT and we take a break. Understand it? Yes? Great. Okay. It is unfair. Unfortunately, it is true. So, India is a typical agrarian economy, inherited with very unequitable agrarian distribution and agrarian system. Removing institutional discrepancies was very, very important. Issue of socio-economic inequality is also there. Increasing agricultural production. And generally, the problem is that in India, land needed to be reformed. But however, we never did it in the right way. So when we talk about the process through which we did land reform, abolition of intermediaries. Under this step, the age-old exploitative land tenure system of zamindari, mahalwari, ratwari was fully abolished. This was the easiest to do. Then we went for tenancy reform. We fixed the rational rate of rent to be paid by sharecroppers or tenants. Security of tenure, so that he knows that he can work on that piece of land for a long period. Then ownership rights to tenants, so that the landless masses could get the final right to land they plow, land to the tiller. So if the land is given to the person, he can become better as an economic concept. However, the biggest drama which was done, which was only implemented in 2 states, redistribution of land among landless poor under the ceiling laws, except for West Bengal, Kerala and Andhra Pradesh partially. Consolidation of land only succeeded in regions of green revolution and remained marred with loopholes and corruption. Cooperative farming, which was high socio-economic moral base, was not only used by the big farmers to save their land from the draconian ceiling laws. The tenancy policy has now changed quite a lot. Achievement. Tenancy reforms provided tenants with rights only 4% of all total operable land and 11 million tenants. Redistribution of land was in 2% of total operable land, 4.76 million people. Altogether, 6% of operable land. Operated land means the land which is cultivated. 6%. And that is not a big thing. It's not a big thing. We should be ashamed in the way we actually did it. Because we actually had no political will. Land is considered a prestige, a symbol of social prestige, status, identity. Therefore, people were not ready to give up their land. Lack of political will also affected land reforms. And rampant corruption in the public life, political hypocrisy, leadership failure is what technically made everything useless. And as much as we know, Babave or Gramdan, Bhudan did a lot of small changes, nothing really at the highest level possible. Can we take a break now? Is everybody with me till this point? Are we clear about all of this? As I said, topics to enjoy. I'm trying to tell you about India. Let us do a Bharat Darshan with regards to its history. Right? Now, when we come back, we will discuss the concept of political currents, which is one party domination and 2 coalition politics. Now, one party domination means Congress, Indian National Congress. And we will discuss from 1950-51 elections to 67, things changed. I'll also give you a brief overview how the Congress which you see today, this one, is not the Congress which gave us independence. Because Congress got split up into two, Congress O and R under Indira Gandhi. We'll talk about Indira Gandhi. We'll talk about Garibi Bachao. We'll talk about the emergency very briefly, though. I don't have to go into the political aspects or the political mechanism of it, but rather the way the emergency came through and what happened afterwards. I'll read still our Prime Minister. Again, half an hour discussion maximum. Then the longest discussion we have today is going to be then wars. Wars. I'll start with 47, 62, 7, then 65, 71, and the last war we ever fought with Pakistan, 1999. Again, as I said, there is nothing to be asked here because nowadays the questions are not revolving around these issues and have not revolved around. So under this government, you don't expect a question with regards to give me the history of the Indian National Congress. That we don't expect. As it is, that's an irrelevant question. So whatever I do after this break, just have to absorb it. Don't have to worry. That is why I'm being telling you, modern India is where the real learning and conceptual clarity is. Post-independence is just for mains. One question, you just have to understand the larger issues. So I hope we all are on the same page with regards to the purpose of the discussion. Last class, we close everything together so that you have an idea about India generally. About India generally. Yes? No, it is not commonly asked in personality test also. In personality test, your personality is checked, not India's personality. And current affairs based concepts which are happening today are not what I'm teaching you here. I'm rather creating, see, if you realize it, I'm creating bases for every subject. I've created the base for anything which I will teach, ancient, medieval, art and culture, post and world history. I've created the base for what we call as internal security, for base for the concept of polity, for economics. When you will do in economics, you will also do land issues. In polity, you will do emergency. In governance, you will do emergency. But I am just giving you the larger picture. So when you go into that class, you are not clueless, right? We'll discuss all Indo-Pak wars. Don't worry about that. But the questions will not say discuss how India won the war. Those type of questions don't come, right? Can I take a break now? Very good. So it is what? 6:41. You can ask me a doubt. And in 1950, we became a republic, 26 January 1950. Now, thereafter, the first general election happened. And it was technically not a coincidence or any other type of surprise that the first three general elections, 52, 57, and 62, the INC got overwhelming majority in the Lok Sabha. It was the party which gave you independence, which brought you independence. And it was having towering leaders such as Nehru, Patel, Rajendra Prasad, Morarji Desai. These are very big towering figures. So the first three general elections between 52 to 62, the first 10 years, India very simply, was dominated by one party, the Indian National Congress. And as I said, it was not a coincidence. However, things change in 1964. Because when in 1964, who will die? Nehru dies. It creates a void. A towering figure, the first prime minister, was dead. However, the Congress had an answer, a very very soft spoken but very convicted personality, Lal Bahadur Shastri, accepted by everybody, respected by everybody, a very, very, very sought after personality. During this period, while Nehru had failed to respond to China, which I will discuss with you in the 62 war, in 65 we will fight Pakistan. It was the proactive leadership of Lal Bahadur Shastri, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, that India had a resounding victory in that war. However, the problem was that my quality is down. My quality is fine, right? No issues with regards to the audio or video. Yes, sir. Fine, sir. You are saying yes, it is down, or yes, it is fine. No issues. Okay. Now, Racha, just refresh. Huh? Now, basically, Lal Bahadur Shastri is now the next Prime Minister. However, the 65 war ends on a very, very dark note for Indian history, because in 66 at Tashkent, where he had gone to sign the document, Lal Bahadur Shastri will die. It was a natural heart attack. And don't go by the Z plus and these type of OTT platform conspiracy theories that there was something greater than that. It's a well documented fact that Lal Bahadur Shastri died because of a heart attack. Now the Congress is in a crisis within 2 years. 64, they lost Nehru. 66, they lose Shastri. Now, very simply, there's now an internal struggle within the Congress who will succeed Shastri. And there was one man who, for his whole life, only wanted to be Prime Minister, Morarji Desai. And on the other side, it was Indira Gandhi, the daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru. But she was young. She was the Minister of Information and Broadcasting. She had already proven her political skills when it comes to basically the way she dealt with the Madras issue, the language issue. But now there's an internal conflict between Indira Gandhi and Morarji Desai. But in the Congress at this point of time, there used to be a small group of MPs which used to come from South India, and they were led by a person called K. Kamraj. And together, this group was called the Syndicate. Very interesting name. The Syndicate basically was the one who, was the group which was technically pulling the strings, pulling the strings. Basit, not important for us. We are in the main timeline, not interim. The door does not matter to us. Now, K. Kamraj, real meaning of syndicate, it's just a name. You call yourself a company, they were called the syndicate. Syndicate basically comprised of all MPs coming from South India and led by K. Kamraj. Now, he's a very towering figure and he backed Indira Gandhi. Syndicate was standing behind Indira Gandhi. And now Morarji Desai, he never took Indira Gandhi very seriously also. Very derogatory remarks he used to make. That kya kar legi chori? What can this chori do? What can this woman do? And the same chori will defeat Morarji Desai in the internal elections of the Congress. And Indira Gandhi is going to get chosen as the next Prime Minister of India as the successor of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Now, the problem is that when Indira Gandhi comes to power, we are all clear about this basic concept. Nehru, Shastri, Indira Gandhi. Yes, Gudiya, as she was to be called. Now, this Gudiya was running the country. The basic point is, Chori means girl. Chori, not chori. Chori means thief. Chori means girl. It's a derogatory remark. It's a derogatory remark. Technically, a small girl is called a chori. So it's not something which Murad Desai should have called her. And basically, it was her way, his way of saying, what can she do in front of me? The problem now is that when she takes over, India was in a very problematic situation, because now the two wars, the toll had been taken on the economy. War is never good for economy. India was not able to even make sense of its forex reserves. The rupee started to depreciate internationally. Further, the major issue was that India's food security was also coming into question. And now Indira Gandhi is going to fight the election of 1967, which is considered the turning point for India politically. So, the Congress inherited the legacy of the national movement, dominated the first three, what we call as general elections. But while Congress had already managed somehow Nehru's death, Shastri's death will put the Congress into a challenging situation. And with intense competition between Morarji Desai and Indira Gandhi, this time the leaders of the party decided to back Indira Gandhi. And Indira Gandhi defeated Morarji Desai by securing more than 2/3 of the party's MPs voters. Now, when the election of 1967 will happen, this election changed everything, because for the first time in India, because of the successive failures of monsoon, drought, decline in agricultural production, serious food shortage, foreign exchange reserves dropping, industrial output going down, military expenditure, rises of prices. This election was based on the concept of non-Congressism. That do anything but don't let the Congress come to power. Nowadays, there's a concept of non-BJPism. Do whatever you want to do, but stop the BJP from forming the government. Now, for the first time in national politics in 1967, that is why it's considered a turning point, India now had what is called coalition politics. Coalition politics is what? When nobody gets a majority, 2-3 parties come together to form a majority. So, Gathbandhan, as it is called, the concept of coalition politics was introduced in India in 1967, because it was all about making sure that somehow Congress does not come to power. So the red states which you see here, there was coalition politics to make sure that the Congress does not find a majority in these states. So why is 67 considered important? The lowest tally of seats ever in Lok Sabha, though a majority. The first regional party in India to actually win a whole state was the DMK, which was in the Tamil Nadu sector because of the Hindi official language controversy. And for the first time, any non-Congress party had secured a majority in its own state itself. That was a basic point. Now, this meant that this election was basically the rise of what we call as coalition politics. But there's a problem. This coalition politics was really very, very weak, because it was not about defeating the Congress. It was about just making sure that the Congress does not come to the power. So left party and right party. Imagine today any two parties come together, don't have been fighting bitterly in the election, but they come together to just make sure that BJP does not come to power. Same way, parties which were never compatible with each other fought and somehow came together under one government. That is why these parties were very unstable, very, very unstable governments. And more than that, there was a very dangerous thing which started to happen in India, which is called rise of defection. In 67, defection technically means that the concept of defection is that when a candidate leaves the party with which it won the election to form government with other party. Basically, I won the election with Congress. Tomorrow I became a BJP MP. And the basic concept was there was so much defection in UP, in northern India. Today an MP was in Congress. Tomorrow he saw that the government was being formed of the BJP. So they went to BJP. Then tomorrow Aam Aadmi Party. Then tomorrow somewhere. And the whole concept of Ayaram, Gayaram. That today he came, tomorrow he went. So in Haryana, MP and Uttar Pradesh, literal defection, which is that an elected representative leaves the party whose symbol he or she was elected to, joins another party. And that is why there was a need for anti-defection law, which will be introduced later under 10th schedule. Because this is the problem which India started to see in its politics. So by 1967, Indian politics has changed quite a lot. From one-party domination to coalition politics, India could see a churn. People were just trying to make sure that the Congress does not come to rise. And it was all about anti-Congressism, non-Congressism. And now Indian politics is going to become the melting pot, the multi-party politics it is today. So are we, if somebody asks you, when did politics in India change? So the answer to that question is going to be, when did election politics in India changed? Very good. Now you are in a position to say 1967. Now, the story hereafter, I have to give you a brief understanding of. This is all technically governance and polity, but governance technically. But I'm going to give you a basic understanding. Now, as soon as Congress performs a really, really bad performance, really bad in the what we call as the 1967 elections, why would there be anti-Congressism? Because it's about defeating the Congress. People were more or less tired of the Congress. 4 elections, too much Congressism. And Indira Gandhi was becoming more and more powerful and very charismatic. But the Congress politics had led to wartime harsh realities also. Now, there was tension rising within the Congress. Indira Gandhi, though elected by the syndicate, was now not listening to the syndicate. So therefore, just before the 1971 elections, there was a tussle between Indira Gandhi and the syndicate. Basically, the basic point was that the syndicate said that we performed bad because Indira Gandhi was not the right choice. Indira Gandhi said we performed bad because all our previous prime ministers were not able to manage. But no issues, whatever it may be. But now the fight is going to be between Indira Gandhi and syndicate in the form of the president. Who will be the president? So the presidential election was coming, and Indira Gandhi said that my candidate is going to be V.V. Giri. And on the other hand, the syndicate said that our candidate is going to be Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. Now, basically, these two candidates represented these two factions. And Indira Gandhi, through her internal maneuvering and her politics of undercutting the syndicate, got V.V. Giri elected. And once V.V. Giri got elected, now the syndicate said that we will not let Indira Gandhi dominate this party. And over this issue, the Congress is going to get divided. The Indian National Congress is now going to split. And what it splits into is two parts. Congress O, Congress R. Congress O basically is Congress organization. This is the syndicate faction. And on the other hand, Congress R, requisitionists. The people who changed everything, requisitionists. It's official. And this is Indira Gandhi. Basically, the Congress which you see today is this Congress. This one is Congress R. Congress O later will automatically more or less become useless and syndicate faction will go down. But India got independence under the Indian National Congress. And we today see this Congress. This Congress is technically Congress R, Indira Gandhi's Congress. And now Congress O and R are going to fight the election. And in 1971, under the concept of Garibi Hatao, Indira Gandhi is going to win against the Congress O. Ushan, I'll tell you what happened to O. I'll tell you. Now, Congress O will more or less be debunked as of right now. And Indira Gandhi will now become the Prime Minister again as the Congress R. And once Congress R is going to win, as soon as she wins the election, the first crisis she had to manage is called the Bangladesh War, which we are going to discuss. Bangladesh War, Guinness Book of World Record, number of people surrendered in this war from Pakistan. Resounding success. In the Green Revolution, started by Shastri, but the benefits were technically borne by or used by Indira Gandhi, that finally the high yielding variety seeds, the pesticides and the yield increasing food crops made India food secure. India thereafter never needed to import wheat. But by 1974, Indira Gandhi's long streak, as she was called, the Empress of India, as she used to always say, that in a cabinet meeting in which only men used to sit, she used to say that I am the only man. I am the only man in this room, no one else. Now Indira Gandhi was technically becoming bigger and bigger in stature. And now the shock is going to come to her in two forms. First, because of the wartime problems and because of the problems which he had inherited because of Shastri not going away, Jai Prakash Narayan, a towering figure of the Indian national movement, will now start a movement in Bihar. The JP movement, as it was called, was about Indira Gandhi's tyrannical rule, the fact that she was not doing anything for the states, the fact that she was misusing power. Students will come into the foray because there was no employment. Bihar and UP will now technically start to burn. JP movement and the student politics was now challenging Indira Gandhi. But the biggest challenge is going to come from one small person, Raj Narayan. Raj Narayan is going to challenge the election of Indira Gandhi on her seat by taking it to the Allahabad High Court. He will argue that Indira Gandhi used the state machinery to win the election. Technically, under the Representation of People's India Act, as you will read under governance, a sitting MP and a sitting Prime Minister or CM cannot use governmental machinery to win an election. Ironically, an IAS officer used to rally for her and basically used to go on rallies and represent her in her own constituency, Raebareli. And therefore, the Allahabad High Court and then the Supreme Court is going to proclaim that Indira Gandhi's election was null and void because she did breach the Representation of Peoples of India Act. Under that, she ceased to be a member of the parliament, and therefore, because of breaching the RPA Act, she was now debarred for at least 2 years from fighting the election. Before anything could have happened, before anything could have put into place, because you can still be Prime Minister without being a part of either of the houses for 6 months at least. As soon as all these proclamations will start to mount pressure on Indira Gandhi, she will introduce the darkest moment of Indian history, in which, using the internal disturbance clause under Article 352 of the Constitution for national emergency, the clause which now does not exist because she misused it, she will proclaim India is under emergency and put India under a national emergency because of the JP movement, Bihar, and because of the judgments of the judiciary. As found later, she did use the power in the wrong way. She did not ask the cabinet. They were given what is called fait accompli. Once put into place, they had to technically agree to it. That is why the new safeguard is that now, firstly, internal disturbance is now replaced by armed rebellion. Once an emergency is proclaimed by a Prime Minister, it should be signed by the COM, the Council of Ministers. And within this time span, now India will go into the darkest moment because all political opposition is going to be arrested. An emergency still exists as a blot on Indira Gandhi politics. And in 1977, when the emergency will be removed, again the elections will be held. And now there was a party which came into existence called the Janata Party. Janata Party was basically every opposition of the Congress together. However, it was called the Party of Prime Ministers. It was called the Party of Prime Ministers. And in 1977, they will technically sweep North India. The problem was that this party was very unstable. So, when you look at the list of our prime ministers, Morarji Desai will finally become prime minister. Finally become prime minister. But after 2 years of his being prime minister, now Chaudhary Charan Singh will say, your turn is over. Now it is my turn to be prime minister. And he will then become prime minister. Then once Chaudhary Charan Singh is going to become prime minister, Morarji Desai will say, 1 year, you like it? Now it is my turn to be Prime Minister again. And because of infighting, as it was called, the party of Prime Ministers, the Janata Party government will fall. And when it will fall in 1979, Indira Gandhi is going to win again the midterm elections. That is what is called a comeback, putting an emergency, then again leading to a rule in which basically the Janata Party will technically collapse under its own contradictions, and she will become the Prime Minister again in 1980. However, she will fund or she will sanction a movement, and you will do it in internal security, called the Khalistan movement. There was a movement which was rising in India at this point of time, which was called the Khalistan movement. The Khalistan movement basically was Punjab saying that they want to not be part of India. They wanted to be a separate country because India was not doing justice to their politics. And these Khalistani terrorists actually operated out of the sacred Amritsar Golden Temple. And therefore, Indira Gandhi will be the one who will sanction the Operation Blue Star. Under Operation Blue Star, the Indian Army will be given the sanction to enter into the Golden Temple, the sacred Golden Temple, to remove the what is called Penta. It was called Penta, the Khalistani terrorists. And very simply, though a very successful operation, Indira Gandhi will get assassinated. Indira Gandhi will get assassinated by her two Sikh guards, technically connected to the Khalistan movement itself. Once she will get assassinated, her son Rajiv Gandhi is going to come to power. Rahul Gandhi being the son of Rajiv Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi will get involved, and again you will do that in internal security, again creating a base. What is called the Lankan Tamil Tigers movement, the LTTE, Sri Lankan Tamil versus Sinhalese politics. And Rajiv Gandhi will again get assassinated by an LTTE terrorist because he supported the Lankan government, the Sinhalese government. Thereafter, two back-to-back very, very unstable prime ministers, Vishwanath Pratap Singh, Chandrasekhar, and then the Prime Minister of India who changed India, P.V. Narasimha Rao, and his Finance Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, are going to go for what is called as LPG 1991. Liberalization, privatization, globalization. Till today, what we do, till today, what we are, what Indian economy is because of LPG itself. Thereafter, another towering leader, twice he will become the Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Thereafter, two Congress governments, UPA governments, Manmohan Singh, and our current Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and now making India what is called New India. This is basically our political story. As I said, from time to time in different subjects, you will get or you will go into details of these stories. But I hope that basically your basic understanding of India politically is clear. Because if it is politically clear, then this type of questions don't come in the examination. But it was my task to at least come till present day. In between, there is a lot which you will cover in international relations, in internal securities, in different parts of the economy, polity, governance. But now when you go into these classes, I hope it will not be something blind in which you go. It is an interesting history. Unfortunately, the questions don't come from this area, right? So if all of this is clear, our last most interesting, again interesting area from which questions don't come, wars. I have been covering the historical perspective. I hope I've been able to do justice to this specific area at least, so that you understand more or less what we were doing. Yes? If it's a yes, then we do wars in between this whole section. Why? Okay. Now, wars. How cooperative farming helps zamindars? When all zamindars come together under one zamindar plus 500 peasantry, cooperative farming. So the number of people increases, share increases. Or from 100 acres, they become 1 acre. Okay, now, how much portion? Unnati, this is the last topic. We defeat Pakistan in 1999 and we end. Don't worry. Now, India, unfortunately, was never ready for war. But India fought its first war when it was never ready in 1947. But thereafter, we have 1962, 65, 71, and 1999. These are the 5 wars we discuss. The weirdest of all of them is 62. Thereafter, India never got defeated. Never got defeated. So if I have your permission, can I discuss the first war which we already covered in the first class, but again in a little bit of brief detail? Yes. Okay. So the first war which we fought was technically the Kashmir War. This was based on Hari Singh's delay in signing the instrument of accession. And basically, independence, as much as it came with partition, also came with the concept of what we call as war. Because India was fighting a war as soon as it was born. Now, the unfortunate story of this war, as you remember, is that Nehru will choose to take it to the UN. The UN will give a resolution after 3 years and say that the solution to this war is going to be a referendum held by the UN. However, there was a condition that Pakistan should withdraw its army, and then only there will be what we call as a referendum. Pakistan never removed their army, so we technically are not going to give Pakistan so much benefit of doubt. So independence with war, but the major consequence of this story is that unfortunately India today, because of all this delay, all this line which I'm making in front of you basically is called the LOC. Is called the LOC, line of control. And this area basically therefore is what we call as Pakistan occupied Kashmir. POK. It's called POK. LAC I will discuss with you is on the other side. It's with China, not with this. We're coming to China only. Now, this war was technically Pakistan's creation. This war was messed up because of the weather and terrain. This war has also been messed up by the UN, which is one of the most useless organizations in this world. Useless, biased, worst organization, which is only a mouthpiece of the US. I will discuss this with you when I will discuss world history with you. Not even now, still today. UN is just a toothless dog in the hands of the US. If you really want to be blunt, that is the real case. Which is that it is just not even a puppet. It's a toothless dog. It only does what the US wants. Can't even do anything because it does not have any executive power. Gilgit-Baltistan has been Yes, you can criticize the UN. Why? America is not our uncle. You can do anything. Now, it's about the question, how it is framed. So, the Gilgit-Baltistan sector, parts of Uri, Pulwama, unfortunately today are occupied by Kashmir, occupied by Pakistan. However, all of this area which I've marked in front of you is a inseparable part of India, has been, will be, and has always been a part of India. But Pakistan illegally occupies this via their army. So, very simply, it is Indian territory. There is no doubt about that. Yes, everyone. We've already discussed this issue previously. Okay. Now, the next is called the Sino-Indian War, or what we call as Indo-China War. Now, this war was weird. It is considered one of the biggest, most weirdest of all. Nobody knew anything only. So now, can we discuss 62 war? This is where there needs a lot of context. So India has a border with China. India has a border with China. And the Chinese border, this border which you see here, is called the McMahon line. It's called the McMahon line. This line which you see here. This red line. This is called the McMahon, written like this also, McMahon line. All this is happening under Nehru, Prime Minister. Now, how was this line created? How was this line created? Because there's an issue with this line. Line meaning the border line. This is a border which has been demarcated between India and China. The problem with this line is that though we recognize the McMahon line as the line between India and China, China doesn't. It's called McMahon because it was underdone under McMahon, who was the Radcliffe line, McMahon line. Now, according to China, this line is not here. And according to China, the line is something like this. This is the line which China recognizes. Now you will ask me, sir, why is that? There is a confusion over this. Can I discuss why is that we discuss one line and China discusses other? China recognized. The reason is because of this place called Tibet. Is because of Tibet. Now see, Tibet claims that it is not part of China, that it's actually a separate province of China, is a separate country altogether. Imagine like Rajasthan saying today that it's not part of India, but it's a separate country altogether, though it is part of India. So India claims that Rajasthan is part of Indian territory, but Rajasthan claims that we are not part of Indian territory. Same way Tibet used to claim that we are not part of China, we're a separate country altogether. Now, no one else but the bastard Britishers are the reason for this confusion. Why? Because In 1914, there was a conference which was organized to decide the India, British India and China demarcation line. Now, what the Britishers did, and this is their divide and rule politics beyond exception, they were there in the conference. They also called China to the conference. But these fools also called the Tibetan representatives to the conference. Imagine that there's a discussion between India and Pakistan on a border. India is their prime minister, Pakistan is their prime minister, and the CM of Rajasthan is also called. Now, China, as soon as it sees that the Tibetan people are sitting, the Tibetan person, the leader, the spiritual and political leader of Tibetans is called Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama is the political and spiritual leader of all Tibetans. As soon as they saw that Tibetans are sitting, the Dalai Lama is sitting, China will boycott this conference and go. China will boycott this conference and go. But as soon as China boycotts this conference, Britishers, being Britishers, went with it. They were like, no issues. If China is not there, Tibet is there. Indian Prime Minister walks off. CM of Rajasthan is sitting with Pakistan Prime Minister. Dalai Lama is a position, the status. And basically, the McMahon line was the product of that conference. So according to China, that the line which was made, the McMahon line which was made illegally. Was made illegally because it was not a conference which was attended by China. China says we don't recognize the McMahon line. India says we only know McMahon line. Now here is the solution. Here is the problem. And the problem is that till today, Tibetans claim that they are a separate country. And I will tell you how it will trigger a war between India and China. But do we understand why there is confusion over the line? Why there was a confusion between the line? Because though China walked out, Britishers still went forward with the line which still exists till today, which is called the McMahon line. Are we clear with regards to this? Dalai Lama is a Buddhist. He's technically a deep political and religious guru of the Buddhists. Now I'll tell you where does Dalai Lama comes through. China does not accept it because it says we were not party to this conference, and India accepted because we were given this map by the British. Are we clear with regards to the reason why this line has confusion? China will follow the black line, we follow the red line. I want everybody's assertion, yes or no, because then I start to complicate this issue. Okay. Now, till 1960, India had a good relationship with China. Hindi Chini bhai bhai. Everything's perfect. Nehru is going and meeting Mao. We have the Panchsheel. Everything is perfect. But now what happens is that in the 1955-56 period, China starts to enter into Tibet. For very long, Tibet had been claiming that it was an independent country, And now China enters into Tibet with its military, saying that you are not a separate country, you are a province of China. Now, who will they target if they have to destroy the concept of Dalai Lama? If they have to destroy the concept of Tibet, who do they target? I already gave you the answer. They take the Dalai Lama hostage, or they kill the Dalai Lama. When the leader is gone, no Tibet exists. Now, here is the blunder which Nehru will do. What Nehru will do is that when the Dalai Lama was running away from the Chinese, he will cross over into India. He will cross over into India. And now the Dalai Lama is going to ask what is called political asylum, political refugee status in India, political refugee status in India from Nehru, and what is called shelter, political shelter if you want to call it, and Nehru will give it. And that is why till today at a place called Dharamshala, McLeodganj, Dharamshala, when you will go to ever the upper parts of Dharamshala, there is a Dalai Lama monastery. And at the Dalai Lama monastery, it will say Tibetan government in exile. Tibetan government in exile. So Dalai Lama does not operate from China, he operates from India. Now this China will not like. This China will not like. China will say that India is harboring our terrorists. India is harboring the separatist leaders of China. Now the situation is going to become bitter. And once we give political asylum to Dalai Lama, now China says, okay, let us change status quo. Let us change status quo. And in this period of 1959 to 61, now the Chinese will start to do a drama. And basically it was and is still today considered the biggest intelligence failure, where neither the army chief, neither the air force chief, neither the prime minister, Nehru, had no idea what was happening. Basically what the Chinese started to do was, they started to now move inside into India without any warning, every day 100 meters. Every day 100 meters they used to start to enter. Now there is no satellite data which we have. So India never got to know that China was moving every day 100 meters. Slowly it was entering into India. So the Chinese very simply start to enter into India. Nobody knows anything. There will be clashes in both the western and the eastern sector. And now once India will get to know that basically China has entered India, now Nehru will say forward policy. That let us do one thing. Let us go into China and hold 2 kilometers inside their territory. And when our army goes to do that, they realize that basically 10 to 15 kilometers inside, China has already entered. And now there will be bitter fighting in both the Pyongyang-so sector, the Ladakh sector, and in the Arunachal sector. In Arunachal, the Chinese had come to till a very important pass, which technically is Tawang being the entry point into the Assam plains, called the Bomdila Pass. If India did not hold Bomdila, China could have entered into Assam, and holding Bomdila was important. However, by 61, this started to become a proper war. End 61, it started to become a proper war. And by the early 62, now world attention starts to come on China. That China is technically fighting a war with India, and things started to come in the news. Things start to become more and more clear. And China, basically, as soon as world attention turned towards it, silently, unilaterally, did a ceasefire, and whilst they left this sector, they did not leave this sector. And basically, This line which you see here, this line which you see here is basically called the LAC, the line of actual control. So though our border here was around Arunachal, here now China technically has occupied the other ear of India. And that area is called the Aksai Chin. So the POK and the Aksai Chin, product of two wars, are two occupied territories of India by Pakistan and China. And the problem with LAC is that unlike the LOC, which is technically recognized by the UN and the world community, it's a ceasefire line. LAC is not recognized anything. LAC, that is why China always tries to change the LAC. It's not recognized, it's not internationally recognized, it's not a treaty. It's just a random agreement where the line is. China and Pakistan illegally occupy India in these two parts. And that is why the 62 war is considered the most weirdest of wars. Because India, by the time it started to fight, China had already left only. So, two developments strained the relationship. China annexed Tibet in 1950, thus removed a historical buffer between the two countries. Then the Dalai Lama, spiritual leader, sought and obtained political asylum in India in 1959. China alleged that the government of India was doing anti-China activities which were happening within India itself. Issue stems from the McMahon Line issue. Between 1957 and 59, China occupied the Aksai Chin area and strategic roads there. China launched a swift and massive invasion in October of 1962 on the two disputed territories. The first attack lasted 1 week and Chinese forces captured some key areas in Arunachal. Second wave came after 1 month. While the Indian forces could block the Chinese advantage in the western front in Ladakh, in eastern sector, they were technically near the entry point of Assam. However, as it became more and more an international news, China declared a unilateral ceasefire and its troops withdrew from where they were before the invasion began. However, they did not leave this sector, they only left this sector. The 62 war is still considered one of the, we technically can't say who won and lost. Basically, India, when we talk about 62, nobody had any clue. It is still considered a major intelligence failure. Intelligence failure, army failure, nobody know what Nehru's failure in that sense of actually leading India in the right way. So POK and Aksai Chin both are illegal areas which are part of India which are illegally occupied by Pakistan and China. Can we move to 65? Here there was no international power involved. Devansh, not by everybody. The POK, there is an issue. Aksai Chin is only an agreement. So basically the two lines, Radcliffe and McMahon, both were problematic. Now let's go to 65. Can we talk about 65? Very good. Now when we talk about 65, now from here on India now changed its strategy. 65 war, now Pakistan is Pakistan. Now Pakistan thought India is had lost in a way, not responded the way it should in 62. Let's do one thing. Let's take Kashmir, full Jammu and Kashmir. Now the Pakistanis, what they do is, technically they are obviously not in a position to fight India head on. So in 65, what they do is that they basically check India. They check India. It's India. All now wars are going to be India, Pakistan only. After this, I never fought with China. Now, if you've seen the map of India, you would have seen something like this. There's a small finger which comes out of Gujarat like this. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever noticed it? Small finger which comes out of Gujarat. Look at a map and you will realize it. The small finger which comes out of it like this. This area is called Sar Creek. It's called Sar Creek. Sar Creek basically is again a disputed territory between India and Pakistan. It is Indian territory. Pakistan claims it. And in this Sar Creek thing, what Pakistan does is it tries to check India in Sar Creek. That is India the same as 62? So there's a small incursion which happens in Sar Creek in 65. But India was never going to respond the way it should have in this area because it's a very marshy terrain. It's salt flats. It's the run of Kutch. The trucks get stuck. The response of India is very, very lukewarm, as it was called. And basically, the conclusion which these foolish Pakistanis come to is that it's the same India of 62. Whilst Lal Bahadur Shastri said that we can respond and we can say and we can any day respond to the Pakistanis at a place of our choosing and our time. And the Indian Army had learned between 62 to 65 that there was a need to create a network which they had. Now, Pakistan is Pakistan. Pakistan said, now let us take Jammu and Kashmir. Now, let us take Jammu and Kashmir. So, in the late 1965 period, now the Pakistanis started to infiltrate into the Kashmir sector. And they entice the people. And basically, any time Pakistani soldiers enter, they enter through three passes, mountain passes. One is called Haji Pir Pass. Other is called the Kargil Pass. And the third is called the Uri Pass. These are three passes which are there. So basically, if you put it Haji Pir Pass and all, it will come somewhere here. Haji Pir is somewhere here. Kargil is somewhere here. Uri is somewhere here. There are three passes. Now, anytime which they have to enter into India, they have to enter through these three passes. So they enter through these three passes, mountain passes, and they now try to entice the people from Kashmir. That you say that you don't want to be part of India, that we want to be separate, this, that. But again, the people of Kashmir said that we don't want to be part of Pakistan. We don't want to be part of this whole act. We will not rebel against India. So when the people again rejected Pakistan's forceful request to help them get Jammu and Kashmir, now there will be infiltration into the LOC and India will get to know that a lot of close to 10 to 15,000 soldiers had crossed over. And now Lal Bahadur Shastri will lose it. He said that I already told you that do not think that my run of Kutch response was something of a response you think would have been there. And now Lal Bahadur Shastri will say, do one thing to the army. First, you push them back. But this time, Don't stop. Close the passes which are technically not internationally in India and go into Pakistan. And Lal Bahadur Shastri's, under Lal Bahadur Shastri action, the Indian army will start to push the infiltrators out of this sector. But what they will also do is that they will close these 3 passes, and India will now hold these 3 passes. And before Pakistan could think, India was 20 kilometers away from Lahore, 30 kilometers away from Sialkot. Pakistan had not expected that the Indian army is going to cross the Radcliffe Line, the international border. And now Pakistan started to squabble what to do. India has entered into our territory. Now Pakistan will do the drama which it always does. This sadistic power which is called Pakistan. It will go to the US and it will say to the US, "Mujhe mara. India ne mara mujhe." That this is the aggressive power which have entered into India, into my Pakistan. Who infiltrated first? They. But now in international forum, Pakistan will start to say, India entered, India is near Lahore, India is reaching Sialkot. Not telling that you were the first one who crossed over into India. Now, as soon as that will happen, US will say sanctions, everybody. No wheat import into India. Stop everything. And now Pakistan will say, "Mere bhai ko mara, kaise mara?" They're like, how did you hit? So China said that I will go to the assistance of Pakistan. How can Pakistan be ostracized and targeted by India? Aggressive power, India. It is here that USSR comes and says to China to thand rakh re. You calm down. You stand in the corner. So USSR says to China, you are not involved in this war. You stand in the corner. Let me handle this. And that is why we have a proper inclination or a good relationship with USSR, because USSR now blocked a resolution in the UN Security Council against India by using the veto, saying that India is not the aggressor, Pakistan is. Now, Pakistan basically what it did, you would have seen it for sure. Pakistan is that one sibling who first hits you, which hurts, but when you hit them back, he goes to the mother and says that you hit them. Happens in every family. And this is what is Pakistan. Pakistan first hit India, but when India hit back strongly, then it went to its mother, father, US. Now, what happens is once all international powers come into the focus, now India can't do what it wanted to do, which is to move further. So now we hold the line where we were, and USSR says that let me call Pakistan and India to Tashkent. Tashkent is in USSR. So when Lal Bahadur Shastri and the Pakistani president reaches there, now USSR says one thing to India. See, India is at an advantageous position or a disadvantageous position. It's an advantage because it holds the 3 passes which are also there and already entered into Pakistan. But now Russia says to us that there are 3 issues. You have to retreat, because if you will hold parts of Pakistan, Pakistan will not agree to a solution, and also America and no other power is ready to recognize that you are not the aggressor. Second, if you say that you will hold on to these 3 passes and the part which you have, then I will not be able to support you. So no MiGs, no T-50 tanks, and nothing I can give you internationally. And though technically we had control over POK right now, plus parts of Pakistan, because India would have lost a lot of support across the board, Lal Bahadur Shastri had to agree to USSR's decision, which is that India had to move back to the LOC. India unfortunately had to move back to the LOC, because if we did not move back to the LOC, USSR support was not going to be there, and without USSR support, we could not have won this war generally. So in what is called the Tashkent Agreement, India gave up Hajipir Pass, Kargil and Uri Pass, and all the territories which we had recovered during this period, and we came back to the LOC. Though we can say that basically we gave up a lot of advantage, this was a moral victory for India. This was a moral victory for our army, who had been humiliated in the China war. And in India, this retreat was is not seen as any sign of weakness or any sign of retreat. It is seen as being pragmatic. Being pragmatic. India alone could not have won this war against the US plus Pakistan, and India needed USSR. And for our army and our prime minister, pragmatic means being practical. For our prime minister, he will still remain and is remembered to be the first man to technically take on Pakistan straight on. And Pakistan somehow got its way because of American and British support at the international forum. Right? 65. I'll read it out to you. That is the unfortunate end to the story. Okay. So, first came the dress rehearsal and a prove. Pakistan tested India's response to a military push by occupying in April of 1965 a part of the disputed undemarcated territory of Rann of Kutch. Here the military clash did happen, but because of India, the terrain itself, India was not able to, because India had gone for non-alignment. That is why we were paying for being non-aligned. So India's military response was weak and hesitant. On British intervention, two sides agreed to refer to dispute to international arbitration. India did not care only. Unfortunately, this conflict led to the conclusion that Indian armed forces and government was not ready for war. They paid no heed to Shastri's statement along with Army Chief General J.N. Chaudhary's statement that India could give battle wherever and whenever it wanted to. In August, the Pakistani government sent well-trained infiltrators into the Kashmir Valley, hoping to foment a pro-Pakistan uprising there, but the people rejected it. Taking into account the seriousness of Pakistan-backed infiltration, Shastri ordered the army to cross the ceasefire line and pass through the passes which they had come through, which is the strategic Kargil, Uri and Haji Pir Pass. On 1st September, Pakistan launched a massive tank and infantry attack on Jammu and Kashmir, threatening India's only road linked to Kashmir. Shastri immediately ordered the Indian army not only to defend Kashmir, but also to cross over the border towards Lahore and Sialkot. Thus, the two countries were now involved in a war which was not declared only. The US and British immediately cut off arms, food and other supplies to both the countries. China declared India to be the aggressor, made threatening noises. And it was the Soviet Union, the USSR, which was sympathetic towards India and discouraged China from going to the Pakistan's aid. Under pressure from the UN Security Council, both combatants agreed to cease fire on 23rd September. The only effective result was that the infiltration or invasion of Kashmir had been foiled. Indians were, however, euphoric over the performance of their own armed forces, recovered some of the pride which they had lost in India-China war. Moreover, India as a whole came out politically stronger out of this story. Shastri was a national hero, and the army, the poster of the national heroic activities. At the Tashkent Agreement, however, when General Ayub Khan and Shastri will meet, under this declaration, both sides agreed to withdraw from all occupied areas. Basically, Pakistan was not occupying anything, and return to their pre-war August positions. In that case, India was going to withdraw from the strategic Haji Pir Pass, through which Pakistan invaders could again enter into Kashmir Valley, and giving up strategic gains in Kashmir. Shastri agreed to these unfavorable terms as the option was to resumption of a mutually disastrous war that would have meant losing Soviet support and therefore all the equipment they were giving us. Tashkent, however, also ended on a tragic consequence when Shastri will die on 10 January because of a heart attack. And this is the story of 65. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan, soldier, Jai Kisan, because food security was also a problem. There's no reason for that, Safruddin. Can we move to 71? Can we move to 71? This is what is the stories. This is the second last, 1971. Now, 1971 war. No. Uri surgical strike is not 1960. Now, if you remember, two Pakistans were created, right? Somehow we forgot this. Two Pakistans were created, right? East Pakistan, West Pakistan. Yes, very good. Very good. But if you look at these two, though they are part of Pakistan, they're very different. West Pakistan basically is Urdu-based culture. Both are Muslims, but that is Urdu-based culture. Here is Bengali-based culture. And a East Pakistani is much closer to a West Bengal person than actually to the West Pakistani, because the culture is very, very different. And because Islamabad was in West Pakistan, it was believed that the real Pakistan was West Pakistan. And therefore, the West Pakistanis to dominate on the East Pakistanis quite a lot. India did not get involved initially. It's all an internal issue, you see. West Pakistanis, when they were spending, for example, budgetary expenditure, if 100 rupees was being spent here, they used to spend 30 rupees here. So basically, they were discriminating against East Pakistan. While West Pakistan was becoming bigger and bigger and better, East Pakistan was going backwards. Now, this led to the politics of West and East Pakistan become a politics of hatred, basically. West Pakistan, real Pakistan; East Pakistan, subsidiary Pakistan. So give it to the Pakistanis to discriminate against their own people. They are not spending, they are not developing, they are not generally doing anything. Now, the first general election in Pakistan happened in 1970. First general election. And just before that election, there was a major cyclone which hit East Pakistan called the Bhola cyclone. Don't go by its name, Bhola in no sense. It killed close to, until today, one of the most disastrous cyclones. 5 lakh people in Bangladesh, what is East Pakistan. And when it came to the assistance, West Pakistan did not even send aid to East Pakistan. It was Indira Gandhi who was sending a lot of material to East Pakistan, and we as India helped the East Pakistanis more than West Pakistan. And this meant that when the 1970s elections is going to happen, there were two parties which were going to fight it. One is called the PPP, Pakistan's People Party. Pakistan People Party. And the other is called the Awami League. Awami League from East and PPP from West. The leaders, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Awami League, Mujibur Rahman. Mujibur, not Sheikh Hasina. Mujibur Rahman. Now, there are total close to 300 seats in the Pakistani parliament. 300 seats in the Pakistani parliament. And in order to win the election, how much do you need? 151. So now everybody, Yahya Khan was the president. So everybody thought that Mujibur Rahman will lose and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is going to win. And it is a presumption that the prime minister is going to come from West only, not East. So when the election happens, Mujibur Rahman gets 167 seats and he gets 86 seats. Gajab level ka bejti. That basically he was humiliated in such a way that Mujibur Rahman had won all the seats in East Pakistan and some seats in West Pakistan also. And the PPP, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, did not win anything more than 86 in West Pakistan. Now, who should be the prime minister? Who should be the prime minister? Mujibur Rahman. But now Mujibur Rahman, if he becomes the prime minister, an East Pakistani prime minister of West Pakistan, Pakistan. Now, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto will write to Yahya Khan that annul the election, saying that there was fraud in the election. Yahya Khan will say, okay, fraud happened. And now the Awami League will see the politics of East Pakistan and say, we want independence. We want independence. And now the Awami League change itself. Yahya Khan is the president. It becomes what is called the Mukti Bahini. Mukti Bahini was the wing of the Awami League, which was now going to fight for independence from West Pakistan. And now, as soon as Mukti Bahini comes into existence, one random day, all commercial flights between West Pakistan and East Pakistan, all seats were cancelled, and the army was then made to go via these flights to East Pakistan. And now West Pakistanis were technically, literally killing East Pakistanis over the issue of Bangladeshi independence, over the issue of West Pakistan not allowing East Pakistan to get independence. Now, till this point, is it an Indian issue? Is it an international issue? It's all an internal issue of the Pakistanis. Two brothers fighting. How is India involved? But now Pakistan is Pakistan. Somebody said Kashmir bhi le lete. Let's take Jammu and Kashmir. And these fools, Mukti Bahini is the wing of the Awami League which was fighting for independence. It's the military wing. Now these fools, what they will do, they will attack 3 of our Air Force bases in Bhuj. They will attack 3 of our Air Force bases in Bhuj. And now Indira Gandhi will say, कुछ भी करना चाहिए था, जयकांत शिकरे का ईगो हट नहीं करना चाहिए. That Indira Gandhi very simply said that you could have done anything. You could have done anything at all. But what was the point of technically involving India in this? Bhuj is Gujarat sector. As soon as India gets involved in the way that the West Pakistanis somehow found the way to defeat India in this war also, now Indira Gandhi is going to lose it. She will first say, close the airspace between West and East Pakistan. Close the airspace between West and East Pakistan. Now they said, if any Pakistani plane goes over India, shoot it down. I don't care who is there. So now there can be no reinforcement. There can be no food which can be brought in quickly. Now India will cross over into Bangladesh. And now the Indian army will start to fight with the Mukti Bahini. And once the Indian army comes, the Pakistani army was just waiting for reinforcement. They will literally surround with no ammunition in their hands. 93,000 soldiers of the Pakistani army were stranded in the East Pakistan sector. Bangladesh had been proclaimed. India was one of the first countries to actually recognize Bangladesh. Mujibur Rahman becoming the first president. India now had 93 to 96,000 Pakistani prisoners of war, which is considered till today the biggest surrender in the history of war. Because they could not get reinforcements, India had blocked all channels between West and East Pakistan. They had guns, but no bullets only. Now, it is here that India showed what it was and how India is different from Pakistan. If Pakistan had 93,000 soldiers of India in its hand as POWs, Pakistan would have killed each one of them. But in what is considered the biggest surrender and handing over back, India handed over all these soldiers back to West Pakistan, saying that we are not barbaric like you. When you surrender, we accept the surrender. And the Indo-Pak War of 1971, which is called also the Bangladesh War, India was not involved in the initial period altogether. Till today, we celebrate the surrender as Vijay Divas. And now the Indian army had shown what it really was. And for close to 28 years, Pakistan will not think about India or Kashmir in that sense. So, in 1971, India won the war against Pakistan, thus giving birth to Bangladesh as a free country. It was the result of Bangladesh Liberation War, wherein Bangladesh was fighting West Pakistan. The war, when started, basically was not India involvement, but when Pakistan launched airstrikes on Indian air bases, India will declare war. On December 6th, India was also the first one to recognize Bangladesh. The war ended after the chief of Pakistani forces, along with 93,000 troops, are going to surrender to the Mukti Bahini. under the instrument of surrender on 16 December 1971. Until today, we celebrate it as Vijay Divas. Can we go to the last war, 1999, Kargil? Last war, and then the course is over. Okay, 1999. See, now, if you have ever looked at the map of India, you will realize that when you look at the Himalayas, Himalayas are less steep in the Kargil sector towards Pakistan, but very steep when it comes to Indian side. So Pakistani side, they have a better slope. We have a larger gradient to go up. Now there is a hill called Tiger Hill, Kargil sector generally. The Kargil sector is a very important sector because these hills overlook a very important road which connects India with, rather the Indian territory of Jammu with Kashmir, NH1. And if you control the top of this hill, then you technically overlook the whole route itself. This is called the Kargil sector. This is called the Kargil sector. Now, technically, under a gentleman's agreement, there is no point sitting at the top of a hill in the cold temperature, because nobody can go up, nobody can go down. There was an agreement between India and Pakistan that basically in the Jammu sector, Kargil sector itself, we will come down when in the cold temperature, and we'll go up just before the summer starts. But it makes no sense, because it makes no sense itself. Now what happens basically is that the Pakistanis in 1999 now start to send their troops even before the summer season. And it was actually a Sherpa, a herdsman, who saw that the people who were going up the Tiger Hill were not Indian soldiers but Pakistani soldiers. Everybody is following me till this point? Kargil sector, NH1 importance? Yes. Now, very simply, Kargil sector important, whole NH1 is basically overlooked by the Kargil sector. Gentleman's agreement that when very simply the war, is my video quality okay? Nito, I'll refresh. Can I refresh once? I'll refresh. Okay, now I'm better. Anybody who was complaining of that? No issues? Okay. So as I was saying that Kargil sector is a very important sector in the Jammu and Kashmir. It is technically on the Jammu side. Now, if you sit on the Tiger Hill and the Kargil sector, it's called the Kargil Dras. It's called the Kargil Dras sector. But the most important hill is called Tiger Hill. Now, as I said, Tiger Hill overlooks the whole NH1, which connects Jammu and Kashmir. Now, very simply, Subarna, Indira Gandhi got involved in Indo-Pak war once India was attacked by Pakistan, and India will thereafter make 93,000 soldiers surrender. Okay. Now, very simply, Shalu, refresh. Simple point, very simple point. NH1 overlooking. Kargil is very, very important. It's very, very strategically located. And what happens is that the Tiger Hill overlooks NH1. There's a gentleman agreement between India and Pakistan that basically in the winter we will not sit on the top because it makes no sense. Rather, we should come down. And before that we will go up when the summer season will come. Now, technically, Tiger Hill is Indian controlled. But what the Pakistanis will do, even before India could technically go up, 2-3 months before, they start to go up. India had no idea because it was breaking that agreement between India and Pakistan. It will be a shepherd or a herdsman who was looking for his sheep, who saw certain men going up Tiger Hill who did not have the Indian uniform on. And therefore, We get to know about infiltration via a chance discovery that the Pakistanis were going up Tiger Hill without technically getting a sanction of India and going up an Indian post. Now, these men had rocket launchers, HMGs, heavy machine guns, LMGs, light machine guns, very heavy machinery with them. And now, what the Pakistanis will do is that they will start to hit the NH1. They will start to hit the NH1. I can't show you a map because it's a classified territory. I can't show you Indian border maps. So understand this very, very clearly. The government of India does not allow the use of Kargil sector as a map because these are very, very sensitive maps. So understand this very clearly. If I had it, if I wanted, I would have shown it. The basic point is Indian territory maps are not shown like this on the border. Please understand this. So it's a security risk to discuss these things. So understand this. So NH1, it is not available only. You go and look for the maps. You will not find anything. You will find pictures. You will not find maps. Because if you can find it, Pakistan can find it. Okay. Now, NH1 now starts to get hit and indiscriminate hitting. So now Atal Bihari Vajpayee is going to get to know that infiltration has started. Again, full-blown heavy machine gun fire was coming. So India is going to approach Pakistan and saying that what is this? This is Tiger Hill. This is Indian post. It is Indian post. So Pakistan will say, what? Infiltration? Goli chal rahi hai? Not our men. They are firing? Not our men. Can't be our men only. We think that these are actually Kashmiri freedom fighters. These are actually Kashmiri freedom fighters. Quality gone down. Quality, no issues. Now better. Pakistan intervening in the story about them only. Okay. So I'll take a 5 minutes because of this quality up down. So Pakistan says firing can't be us. हमने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं. Not our men. You told us that firing is happening on Tiger Hill. Very bad. So India said that if it is not you, then who is it? So Pakistan says Kashmiri freedom fighters. Kashmiri freedom fighters are asking for freedom. So these are Kashmiri freedom fighters asking for freedom. So India said if they are Kashmiri freedom fighters, how do they have heavy machine guns? How do they have HMGs and rocket launchers? They would have maximum AK-47. Pakistan said, don't ask me. The people want independence from you, so they can get HMGs also. So the first thing which actually Pakistan does is denies involvement only. Now, India first had to establish internationally that it was Pakistan, but the problem is that going up this slope is very difficult. Is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to go up this slope. And when India will send a patrol party up under Captain Saurabh Kalia, the Pakistanis will technically capture him and brutally murder him to death and martyr him and send his body back. Now, Atal Bihari Vajpayee technically did not have any option. So what he does is that he actually says that let the Air Force hit this sector. Let the Air Force hit this sector. And they said that we need to some way get a body of this soldier so that we can get the ID card of the POK. All Pakistani soldiers have their ID card with them. So it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee's understanding that let us do one thing. Let's hit these upper sectors so that we can take back at least a post somewhere here. And now, via Indian Air Force and Indian Army joint action, we'll be able to somehow get access to this position, which was also held by the Pakistanis. And now we will have Pakistani ID cards and what are called soldier uniforms. However, still Tiger Hill and Dras was not free of the Pakistanis. So two things will happen together. Atal Bihari Vajpayee is now going to seek Bill Clinton and the US, and now Atal Bihari Vajpayee will show that these are not Pakistani freedom fighters, but actually Pakistani soldiers fighting or technically doing infiltration across the LOC. And on the other hand, on Vikram Batra, there will be a 15-hour gun battle which is going to happen, because he will not go up this side, but rather the side from which the Pakistanis were never expecting, climbing a cliff and then reaching the Pakistan sector and then liberating Tiger Hill after 15 hours of gun battle. So two things will happen. First, Pakistan will now be seen as the aggressor and Nawab Sharif will be called. On the other hand, the other aspect was Vikram Batra recovering this sector itself. So therefore, in 1999, the last major battle which we fought with Pakistan, it was the heroics of our soldiers and the quick action of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who technically was able to get this last infiltration solved. Make sense? You would have seen the Sher Shah movie, same thing. And some of you would have, your parents would have been involved. And as Mohana tells us, and it's an honor, Mohana, that you are here, I'll just push it to everybody, that some of you would have got involved, or some of your parents would have been involved in the Kargil war, and hats off to them, hats off to their courage, and hats off to our Indian Army and Air Force, that the last major infiltration was a joint exercise between them. So I'll read out the story to you and then we can end class. Can I do that? I'll push all of these. In 1999, continued for 60 days up to 26 July. Local shepherds first reported the presence of Pakistani infiltrators in the Baltistan sector in Ladakh region, Jammu and Kashmir. The Indian Army set up patrol units in the area, and 5th 5 patrolling soldiers along with Captain Saurabh Kalia were captured and brutally tortured. Heavy shelling will now start from 9th. This was to cover the engagement of the infiltrators across the border. Dras, Mukshko and Kaksar sector all were under the Pakistani. Indian Army moves its troops from Kashmir Valley to the Kargil sector, while the Indian Air Force engages in infiltration. In intense fighting from both sides, in early June, the Indian Army releases documents that confirm the involvement of Pakistan and not the involvement of Kashmiri freedom fighters. Even though taken initially by surprise, the determined Indian Army recovered many positions and posts during this whole battle. In the mountainous terrain, extreme cold and harsh weather, our soldiers fought with utmost courage and passion. And on 4th July, Indian Army captured the Tiger Hill after 11-hour to 15-hour battle. Internationally, Pakistan will lose face because Bill Clinton will call upon Nawab Sharif with all that data. On 5th July, Nawab Sharif will meet Clinton and ask the Pakistani army to withdraw. On 11th and on 14th, Pakistani soldiers will fully withdraw, and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee will announce Operation Vijay to be a success. And the war came to an end on 26th. With this, we finish our course. Hats off to Indian Army, hats off to our soldiers to protect us. What we are today is because of them. Thank you. Take care. It has been a long ride with you. And I hope that modern India post-independence, this session was about knowing and understanding things. So I hope that you basically understand modern India post-independence. The feedback form has now been shared with you. So you can always share a feedback with us with regards to how the classes were and anything else. Happy Holi to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your patience, your commitment to be here. It was a pleasure teaching you all. And remember remember that basically, modern India should now not be a problem with your mind itself. And simple point. Just go to the PPTs, then the NCRT. And as I said very simply to you, do not be scared of any of the facts. Just systematically cover them. I hope I've been able to do justice to both these subjects. It has been a pleasure teaching you all. If you don't have a question, you can go and have your dinner. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. And as I said, I'll be back with ancient medieval art and culture very soon. And for sure, with modern India in morning batch itself in April. If you missed any of the classes, you can attend that also. Happy Holi. Have a safe Holi. Don't waste water. And remember not to become a total use colors which are not good for your skin. Make sure that you're using natural colors. World history also all taught by me only. So see you. Take care. Bye bye. Good night. Good night.